If you clicked here expecting some feel-good self-help session with a soothing voice, cheesy quotes, and a quick ego boost, congrats, you picked the wrong door. No coddling here, no pat on the back, and zero patience for guys who still think snapping back at provocations makes them tough. Spoiler, it's just insecurity dressed up as balls. This video isn't here to soothe you, it's here to bury you. Bury that needy, emotional wreck who crumbles over a story post, shakes from an emoji, or bends over backward explaining himself when she ghosts. How cute, right? A one-sided romance fueled by emotional scraps, and you still think you're calling the shots. She vanishes, pops back up, compliments some other dude, posts a flirty pic, shoots a dry hey just to check if you're still her loyal pup. And you, star pupil of the Emotional Doormat Academy, rush to reply. High five for the self-inflicted burn. You just handed over your worth on a silver platter. Want to know what shuts down this merry-go-round? Zero reaction, not revenge evolution. When you don't clap back, don't switch tones, don't try to figure it out, you stop being her emotional sidekick and become what she dreads most, the void that doesn't beg. And that's when, buddy, she starts fumbling her own games. Women don't test out of spite. They test because they need to know if you've got backbone or if you're just another fragile ego on the shelf of male weakness. Every poke is a thermometer, and you keep spiking a fever every damn time. React with jealousy? Fail. Try to explain? Worse. Demand answers? Jackpot. You're labeled emotionally disposable. But when she tugs and you don't budge, prods and you don't flinch, fires shots and you don't blink, her whole setup glitches. The game only rolls because you're playing. Real power lies in the chill, not pride clarity. You don't ignore to look strong, you're just not fazed anymore, because you've clocked that bait danglers are small fish. Today, you'll learn that silence isn't weakness, it's a verdict. Not replying hits louder than any rant, and the guy who stays unshaken is the one she can't scrub from her mind. Yeah, pal. True emotional ghosting leaves a scar. But before we kick off this wake-up call, fire up that lone brain cell you've got left. This video didn't drop as some cosmic sign. The universe isn't saving your ass. It was an algorithm fed up with your victim vibe. And unlike you, algorithms deliver for those who hustle. So if you're watching with that entitled mug, at least fake some manners. Like, comment, subscribe, act like you get it. Enough foreplay. Let's cut to the chase. Too much ego. Not enough shame in your history of self-sabotage masked as romance. Number 1. The psych test circus. What you call a relationship, she calls a field experiment. Yeah, buddy, while you're daydreaming about candlelit dinners and weekend getaways in the Hamptons, she's got an invisible lab coat on, running a case study on your emotional meltdown. And the guinea pig? That's you! The clueless volunteer turned clown in her psych circus. Every calculated ghosting, every barbed joke, every just kidding comparison is a test. A precision setup to gauge one thing: your emotional stability. And you? You react like a rat zapped in a maze. Reply instantly, justify stuff that never happened, wrap up your feelings with a bow. Congrats, you aced the fail screening. She doesn't test because she's mean. She tests to sort real men from blow-up dolls. And you, with your soap opera dramatics, serve up exactly what she wants to ditch. A guy who unravels over a story, quakes at a like on someone else's post, freaks over a "hey stranger." Your foundation's so shaky a ghosting breeze knocks you flat. The cherry on top? She doesn't even have to plan it. It's instinct. Her radar picks up insecurity like a shark smells blood. And you bleed easy, react easy, beg easy, and you think that's showing heart. Adorable. Another masterclass in smiling through self-destruction. The circus kicks off in the chase, ramps up on WhatsApp, and hits full spectacle when she senses you're too into it. That's when she unleashes the lions. Wants to see if you'll lose it just for feeling something. And you, amateur hour, slip right in. Think melting show's worth. She just sees another dude who dissolves at the first emotional heat. The big twist? When she realizes you don't react. Don't feed into the drama. Watch the show like you didn't even buy a ticket. That's the moment. Only then, she starts eyeing you differently. In a circus of wobbly emotions, the one who commands respect is the guy who refuses to clown around. Yeah, pal, she tests to see how far she can drag you down without you noticing. But when she sees you won't sink, won't drown, won't even get wet, that's when you stop being the lab rat and become the outlier. Number 2, the emotional reactor, the type she despises. There's a breed of guy she spots before he even finishes typing "hey" on WhatsApp. Her emotional alarm blares. This one's gonna crack over an emoji. We're talking the emotional reactor, that walking circus of neediness, poorly disguised as sensitivity. The dude who thinks mature means responding to everything, feeling everything, and getting rattled by zilch. He runs like a 24/7 emotional help desk. Always open, no wait times, custom service for every ghosting. She dips out for a few hours. Boom, 3 dramatic poems incoming. She compliments another guy. Scene set. Walls of text, gripes, insecurity leaking everywhere. He doesn't just feel, he crusades for every emotion. Everything she does hits his skin. Everything she tosses, he catches. She breathes funny. Must be trouble. Congrats. Another one swapping respect for real-time reactivity. What does she see in this guy? An emotional playground. A toy that jumps at every poke. And toys that overreact get boring. 'Cause overreactors never command presence. And without presence, you're just an extra in her story. She tests, he confirms. Pokes, he hurts. Ghosts, he flips. Like winding up a jack-in-the-box. Predictable, automatic, disposable. Worst part? He thinks it's interest. But he's really handing over a fragility certificate, stamped and sealed. You think you're being sweet. She sees desperation. You think honest. She sees boring. And boring, buddy, is what she loves to ghost. If you crumble over a story, how the hell are you stable enough for the real deal? This type chases answers while she's already bored, testing the next. And she barely lifts a finger. One side eye, and there's the reactor, apologizing for crap she never mentioned. Almost funny. Almost. If you're still thinking reactivity is human, cool, keep at it. Just don't act shocked when she bails with that lame lost interest line. What she lost was respect. 'Cause no one respects a guy handing out emotions like free samples at the mall. Wanna flip the script? Easy. Stop reacting. 'Cause when you stop, she quits playing. And when she quits, that's when you stop being the joke and start being the mystery. Number 3. The lethal inertia. The secret of the unfazed. Now we're sorting men from Wi-Fi wired puppets. While reactors juggle emotions over every comma, the lethal man stays stone still. Not from numbness, but total control. He watches the storm brew, but doesn't step in. Sees the trap set, but doesn't bite. And that's when, buddy, she starts to unravel. Her whole testing charade hinges on one key: your reaction. Without it, the act flops, the script crumbles, and the star has a backstage meltdown. 'Cause when you don't hit back, don't accuse, don't explain, don't rant, don't emoji, don't even breathe, her emotional grid crashes. A black hole sucking her calm through an ego straw. Female ego hates silence. 'Cause silence gives no clues, no reins, no story. Where there's no reply, doubt creeps in. And doubt's pure poison for manipulators. She wanted you to blow up, beg, cry, but you vanished. And that, pal, is the slickest torture. You don't strike, you just cease to react. Your stillness becomes a mirror. And it doesn't reflect what she wants. It shows what she fears. Someone she can't puppeteer. Then she steps on mines trying to provoke, clueless where it'll blow. Her head turns into a rave of what-ifs, and you. Untouchable, ghostly, present in your absence. The guy mastering lethal inertia doesn't need to show up. He bugs her without a word, wounds without a move, and best yet, he rises while others crawl for scraps. Each poke from her turns into fresh frustration. 'Cause the unfazed is unreachable, and nothing rattles more than realizing you lost control before even starting. In the end, she doesn't know if she lost you, or if you were never hers to begin with, and that's the echo that lingers. 'Cause while the weak yell, the unfazed shuts up, and in that quiet she hears everything she dreads, that maybe, just maybe, she never had any power over you. Number 4, the reaction that flips the script. There's a response that doesn't yell, doesn't plead, doesn't defend. No canned lines, weepy emojis, or passive-aggressive essays. It hits in the form manipulators hate most, busy silence. Not the hurt guy's quiet, the silence of a man too damn occupied leveling up to stay hooked on her emotional sideshow. She prods. You ghost. But not to play games. You ghost 'cause you've wised up that only suckers replay where they've been played. While she's in wonder if he still cares mode, you're hitting the gym, grinding at work, buried in a book, plotting your empire. Every day builds your fortress, turning you untouchable. She pokes and hits emotional brick. You don't clap back, don't whine, don't feel, you evolve. And that's, buddy, the only reaction that shifts the score without touching the ball. 'Cause checkmate hits when she circles back for the same emotional chump and finds a man she can't even test anymore. The reactor's mistake is trying to win by playing. The strategist's win is becoming someone new and trashing the board. While she rehearses taunts in the mirror, you're an emotional hologram out of range. She retries triggers, nada fires. 'Cause you uninstalled the neediness app. She posts. You don't see. She ghosts. You don't notice. She resurfaces. You don't budge. Not pride, real growth. The guy who felt too much becomes the one who feels zilch where there's no value. Then the killer blow. She sees the reactor who twisted, justified, writhed, is dead. What's risen is a man done with psych thriller relationships. Your reaction was the cruelest, classiest, final. You grew so big, her game looks pathetic. And her, too small to compete. Number 5, when the game backfires on her. She thought she was the boss. Had the full playbook on affection manipulation and your emotional remote. Ghost, return, stir jealousy, drop sub-tweets captioned, living my best life. And you, always there, primed to react like a programmed emotional toy. The game was comfy, script in hand, until you dared to shred it. And then, buddy, she short-circuits. 'Cause when her ace play meets silence and you still don't crawl back, panic seeps through her emotional facade. She pulls the finisher. Nada. The classic ghost to make him freak. But now, her silence doesn't touch you. It bounces back at her. 'Cause you're off the battlefield. What was once a jab is now an echo in the void. The weapon's a boomerang, smacks her square in the face. Her control tool turns self-torment. The absence that used to rattle you is just absence. With a deadly twist, now she's the one hurting. You vaporized. And she, queen of answers, hits dead air. The game turns trauma. The puppeteer lost her strings. She digs through the past like scavenging ruins, rereads texts, dissects silences, stalks your feeds like emotional CSI. All to figure where, when, how you became unreachable. But the answer's simple and savage. You leveled up. and level ups don't revisit playgrounds. She tries it all, floats bait, posts throwbacks, resurfaces from nowhere with a "hey stranger" wrapped in fake chill. But you're off limits. Not as presence, not as fantasy, not as memory. You didn't rage, didn't reply, didn't rant. You just dipped, and for her, that's worse than revenge. 'Cause the silence she wielded like a sword became her guillotine. This time, her ego lost its head. And the crusher? You did zilch. And that zilch is what she'll never shake. She expected drama, got dismissal. Expected begging, got growth. Expected reaction, got quiet. Now, with the game scorching her palm, she gets it too late. You were never controlled, just polite. And politely, you left her talking to herself. Lethal, close the absence that scars. Bottom line, the choice is humiliatingly simple. Be another reactor or the one she can't forget. While most guys are still thesis deep in why'd she go cold, why ghost, why test, the real man clocked the script and bailed without notice. He doesn't counter, doesn't dramatize, doesn't blast all caps essays of rage-veiled longing. He just exits stage left, and the irony? His exit collapses the theater. 'Cause his absence is the only static her ego can't decode, no guide for silent disdain. She prods and gets no breath. Tries a comeback and hits armor like emotional marble. Pretty, cold, totally off limits. And that's, buddy, when her mastered game turns endless maze. She didn't lose a man. She lost her last shot at mattering to him. All without fireworks. No scene. No yell. 'Cause the reaction that truly crushes egos isn't explosion, it's inertia, strategic absence, calculated fade. You didn't villain out, you became named absence, a quiet she can't tune out. Now she twists trying to grasp how she lost the reins, how the emotional clown became silent star, and the brutal truth, you didn't need visibility anymore. 'Cause rebuilding in silence makes you too massive for petty games. This is the period without the bang, the nothing louder than any rant. And that's why she'll never forget. You asked for zilch, just vanished, and took the one thing she thought untouchable, her control. Drop in the comments, my absence is my answer. And remember, silence only stings those built to manipulate the noise.